Yeah, for real, like that.
So greetings and salutations in this your man Reggie Smith, man. We're once again we thank you for joining us here at Positive Attitudes, where we ask the question, what's right with you? And I was sitting around today and we were chilling here at the crib, and I'm with my good friend Michael Powell.
Hey, how y'all doing?
All right. And
all right,
we were talking about different experiences that we've had and some of the things that we have coming up. So you can tell Mike is actually a partner of ours. He is working as a documentary, a filmmaker. Yes. And so we're building our alliances and things like that. And yes, I like the work that I've seen you do already. You know, I know you're working on a piece that really caught my eye about, ODs. I noticed in the piece that you were working with someone that was acting as your son. And
it was called You're as sick as your secret.
Sick as your secret.
And that term was coined for me through my own personal experience dealing with addiction and stuff like that. And the several times that I've OD'd myself.
Okay.
In one of the short films that I wanted to make, I said, why not? But the term was coined for me when I was going through my recovery process.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we're familiar with the term.
Yeah.
Those of us that are in recovery,
right?
Because you're not alone. There's millions of us that are recovering from drug addiction and heroin and cocaine. For myself, I never had the experience of ODing, but I know it's got to be. I know what we used to do back in the day. Used to, throw somebody in a tub of ice, put ice around their genitals, have them drink milk to try to get them to throw up and stuff like that. But now there's something called naloxone. How do you pronounce it? Narcan.
Yeah.
That's not the term for it. No.
But yeah, that's what it's known for. Everybody's more familiar with the
Narcan. And y'all know it as Narcan, right?
Yeah.
All right. And then I'm sure that there's other people out there that have OD'd as well. And it's not only from using heroin and cocaine. It can come from a number of different situations that could happen. Where you would want to know how to use it. You would want to have it around, and it could help save the life of a loved one. And so let's just take a few minutes to watch this short video, and it'll show us a little bit about how to actually use it and what it is. And then we'll come back and maybe talk a little bit about your experiences as OD and some real life experience.
Most definitely.
Okay. All right. Let's see if we can get that going. Bam.
My meds helped my back pain, but I didn't know I couldn't drink wine with them. All of a sudden, I was out cold. Naloxone saved my life.
My dad accidentally took too much of his Percocet. Thank goodness our family had naloxone and knew what to do.
I'm a police officer. Last week I was called to where someone was unconscious and barely breathing. I'm so glad we had that naloxone.
My brother had struggled with the heroin problem for years. We made sure to have naloxone in the house, just for safety.
These are the voices of Americans who have been saved by naloxone, an amazing medication with the potential to change the epidemic of opioid overdose in our country. Americans are dying every day due to accidental opioid overdose. But now we have something that can rescue someone who might take too much prescribed medication, too much heroin, or who accidentally combines dangerous opioid combinations. It's called naloxone, and it is, pure and simple, a lifesaver. Opioids can be fatal when someone takes too much, and especially in combination with other opioids, alcohol, or other drugs. In an overdose, the person stops breathing. Naloxone doesn't let that happen. It rushes to the place in the brain where opioids bind, and it blocks that connection altogether by literally knocking each opioid off its receptor. In that moment, opioids are stopped in their tracks, and the effects of the medication or the drugs are not felt. People keep breathing. Naloxone does not have to be prescribed by a doctor, though it can be provided by many physician offices and pharmacies. If someone is considered high risk for overdose, he or she should keep naloxone nearby at all times and know how to use it. Naloxone is important to have available for any of the following individuals: someone who is taking high doses or long-acting opioids, someone being treated for opioid use disorder, anyone recently in the hospital for treatment of opioid overuse, someone who may use opioids without a prescription, anyone who may use heroin or another illicit opioid, or anyone using any combination of opioids with other medications. There are 4 ways naloxone is used. Most commonly, it's inhaled through the nostrils, similar to some allergy medicines. It can also be injected, either into the muscle, under the skin, or in the veins with an IV. Naloxone is safe and has very few side effects. Some people talk about feeling sick after taking naloxone, but these effects are not side effects of naloxone at all. They're withdrawal symptoms that happen when someone cuts down on opioids. They happen because naloxone stops the opioid from working. Opioid overdose is deadly. If you or someone you care about is at risk for an overdose, or if you feel like a situation with opioids is out of control, don't wait. Talk to your doctor about naloxone. It might just save your life or the life of someone you love.
All right.
Hey.
That's pretty cool, right? That's pretty informative. And, that's what we need is information so that we can make some informed decisions about what's going on. You might save the life of
Naloxone
someone.
saves lives.
Might save life. Now, naloxone does save lives.
It does, most definitely.
Did it save your life?
Most definitely, man. And this was an interesting piece for me because in watching this
Little video, yeah.
Video here. It was a couple of things that I was after the fact of ODing and going through the process that made me curious about how this naloxone worked, which is known as Narcan.
Right, how it actually works.
And one of the things that stood out in this video was how the receptors are clogged with the drug itself, and which causes that withdrawal, that urge, and one more, and creating that chase. But that's another story within itself. But what interests me was how I felt when they brought me back.
How did you feel?
And I didn't have that urge. I didn't have that want.
Wow.
So that receptor was blocked. And it made me think about things I've tried before to quit using and or not be sick. And you had methadone. Right. I tried methadone and that would last as long as I'm taking it.
Right.
Yeah. So it wouldn't it would just block that receptor where it doesn't have that urge
for long periods of time.
Yeah, withdrawal.
Because the methadone lasts a long period of time, but it would keep you high.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the effect too of it. It continues to feed that piece.
Right.
So then the next thing that I
function off methadone.
Yeah,
too.
and I noticed in this in the spelling of naloxone, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, it also they also introduced at one time something that was called Suboxone. Right. Has that same ending on it.
For alcohol, right?
For alcohol, and it was also used for heroin.
Really?
It was used for any type of thing that will make you have those withdrawals. I mean, that you had withdrawals after using, and it would be to kind of curb that or, stop that craving temporarily.
Very interesting, and we started having the conversation because we were talking about my good friend Stencil Tootle, which is an advocate par excellence for the disabled community.
Hey,
and
good work, brother. Good work.
And we're looking to work with him as well because we feel at the Reginald and Dion Smith Foundation that is a demographic that is often forgotten as well. And we focus on heterosexual Black families, especially heterosexual Black men. But we have found that the disabled community is often forgotten in the demographic data that would allow funding and focus to be placed on making sure that they have, and we have. Because he simply asked me the question, because I'm HIV positive as well, we all know. Yeah. And he asked me, do I consider myself to be disabled? And I had to stop and think about it. I was like, wow. Which is crazy because I am disabled. I'm sitting home. The government knows I'm disabled.
Yeah, and that's interesting. You say what you're saying because that's one of the biggest things. Like whatever the case may be, whatever you feel like that puts you in the category of being disabled. Like for myself, with that addiction, I have come to see how it affected me mentally, and whatever drove me to that point.
Right.
You understand? So that's how I would place myself in being disabled.
Right.
But the point about that is it's so downplayed in the Black community, man, to where and it's not a lot of talk around that. You know what I'm saying? And
it's a triple cross because we try not to be disabled.
Yeah.
And even if we are, through trauma, mental disability, addictions, stencils that happens to be blind. There's just so many different things that you can get a check for, but we choose not to actually identify with. Yeah. A lot of times when I thought about disabled, I thought about someone that is in a wheelchair, someone that is physically disabled, but that does not allow us, that separates us as opposed to bringing us together. And it would behoove us to come together because there is a need for us to be, in order for, because there's plenty of stuff out here and a few people are hoarding it.
No doubt. I agree. Totally.
Which is absolutely the wrong thing. But just so we stay on the Narcan.
Yeah.
So you OD'd more than one time, which is generally the case. People that OD once generally OD more than once.
Most definitely. I mean, well, it's hand in hand. Like as long as you're using or you're not educated properly on medicine that you take, and especially opioids, it's almost like inevitable. It's just a level of it. You may not go into that point where you just totally stop breathing and consider DOA or dead or whatever, but
we're always pushing the envelope.
Yeah, we're
always looking, trying to get that little bit, get high enough, and and interesting the energetic piece that you talked about, blocking the receptors.
Right.
For me, when I was getting high, I was trying to be on another planet.
Exactly.
I didn't want to be. I'm tired of this planet.
Yeah.
Can I go somewhere else and maybe come back? I'm planning on coming back. I don't want to die.
Right.
But I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part about getting high. So we're always trying to go where no man is ever going.
Well, for me, that's a good way to put it too, because for me, actually, at the point when I first originally OD'd, I was in a suicidal state, and it was kind of. And I guess I said like this was kind of conscious, that it was a conscious thought process because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, man.
Right.
And at the same time, I was running from me. I was running from who I was, and I couldn't find the proper help or guidance. Not to say it wasn't out there.
Right.
It was just that I think the mind state that I was in. Right. And so, with that being said, you said something about in using how we continue on until we reach that point,
right,
of getting to jeopardizing ourselves, putting ourselves at risk and ODing.
Right.
And I was more so a coward with it, and the reason why I say that is because I couldn't put a gun to my head. I couldn't hang myself or anything like that. So I used
cowardice, wisdom. Who's to say?
You're right. But so to get back to it, so when I OD'd, at that point I lost time.
Consciousness of time. Right.
Yeah.
So and that's what I wanted to get to, because we talked about the spiritual, we talked about the physical, the mental. No, the mental, the physical part. As we wrap this up, is you were knocked out. You were laid out. You were laid out.
Most definitely.
Some the people around you had the Narcan.
Yeah.
Or did they call?
Well, what happened was someone found me actually.
Okay.
You know, and when they found me, they called 911. The police came or whatever. And at that point in time, they were just introducing it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and I'm glad you brought me to this point. They were just introducing it, and when they used it on me, it actually brought me back. It saved my life because I stopped breathing, and actually the police had told me after I came back that they gave up.
Really?
They gave up, and it was just this one officer. Kudos to that one officer. I gotta shout him out. He would not stop and give up, you know. And after shooting me a couple of times with it, he shot me the third time with it. Okay. And that's when he said that I started gathering my conscience and coming back around. But I didn't remember anything that took place before or during that time that I was going through that process of ODing. But what I noticed after the fact was that my breathing became more heavier.
Okay.
And my cognizance and being aware compared to how I was before had kind of densed.
Right.
Became dense. It was slower.
Over a long period of time?
Yeah.
Still to this day?
To this day, exactly. Okay. You know, so those were the effects that I experienced from that. But even with that, I mean, I suggest that it's still research that needs to be done, right. But it's most definitely you know, outside the fact of my higher power, a saving grace, for real. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a saving grace. And it also wakes you up to realize how much you want to really be here. Yeah, well, I'm grateful for that. You come back, you know.
Yeah, because, you know, we're glad we're here. We're glad you're here. We're here for a purpose. You know, I can understand how the disabled community, people that have, you know, disabilities, could, you know, we have so much in common because we could all get to a point of despair. You know, we all can get to a point where the trauma, you know, may cause us to want to get high. Yeah. And then, you know, it's just a natural progression where we say that the three ends of addictions are jails, institutions, and death. Yeah. But we want to make sure that we have the tools and the information to try to keep us. You can't get away that quick. Don't right. Try to escape. You come on back in. Yeah. You know, and if you have family members and loved ones that are in situations like that, it's always good to have some Narcan around. I've got some in the trunk of my car, so if I'm ever traveling around, I'm glad that we're focused on this now. And I'm glad that we had the chance to talk to Michael Powell, who's had some real life experiences. The Narcan works. It's not a treatment plan. It's not something that you should count on so that you can get as high as you want to, knowing that they can bring you back with the Narcan.
Yeah, it don't happen like that all the time.
There's a lot of similarities of what I'm hearing with long COVID. They call it long haulers, you know, people that are experiencing things after COVID that are still kind of dulling their sentences and the after effects. But we'll get into those and later things. The conversation came up because my good friend Tootle asked us to create a video regarding that. And, you know, we went to look for instructional videos regarding Narcan and found maybe none. I found one. I have to be honest. I found one with African Americans. I found none around the disabled community. So we need to start creating content so that folks like you can identify with it and hopefully take it to heart.
And whether you're disabled, have an addiction or anything, you're not by yourself. Right. So you don't have to think like that. So
that's exactly right. You know, we invite you to join us inside of our wellness community, where we're all getting together. It's a lot of people that are recovering, a lot of people that are not family members. The way to get there is through the RDSF, VRDSF.com. That stands for the Reginald and Dion Smith Foundation. That's VTHERDSF.com. You can join us. We do workouts in the mornings at 9 a.m., short, low impact workouts, just trying to find other ways to stay well, you know, to just share information with each other and to encourage and hold each other accountable to being our best selves. You know, look, I also wrote a book, and you can find that as well on the website, therdsf.com, or at my website, reggiesmith770.com. The book is about my search for the cure for HIV all over the world. I went all over the world. It's also about my miraculous recovery from addictions and my resurrection, which is the name of the book, Resurrection. Participate in your own salvation or be complicit in your own demise.
Yeah.
So we got lots of stuff. We just want to stay on the planet and have the best experience that we can possibly have with everything that's going on. And so we thank you. We thank you. This is Positive Attitudes. We asked the question, hey, before we go, got to ask you, what's right with you?
Living life. Yeah, most definitely.
That's plenty.
Yeah.
And you ask yourself, what's right with you? All right. What's right with you right now is that you took the time to listen to this all the way to the end. We hope that you join us again inside Positive Attitudes. I'm your host, Reggie Smith, with my man, Michael Powell. Until the next time, peace and blessings.